Okay, we're with Alan and Glen, the top musicians from Back to the Future musical. Honestly, it's emotional. It's an honour to be interviewing you guys. You guys have written and produced some amazing things. Alan, I'm going to start with you.
Sure.
Where do you even start by finding a score like Back to the Future? Because that music is absolutely iconic and will be played for the next 200-300 years. Like, where do you start?
Well, back in the day, which is, 35 years ago, it came, first of all, from the story. It came from Bob Gale and Bob Zemeckis. There was a very interesting thing about Back to the Future, the film. We've come to see it now over time as this big film, an adventure film, a story about great friendship, great love. But if you look at it visually, it's a very small film. The shots are relatively small, and it's very intimate. So the direction from Robert Zemeckis was, don't be fooled by the size. We need to tell a big story, because we are telling a big story. Great love, great adventure, great friendship. So the score then was this kind of quote-unquote epic approach to these archetypal stories, but the images were small, and it was kind of an interesting combination of things. So it really was driven by the story more than the actual imagery of the film.
So, honestly, it's one of the most beautiful scores I've ever heard in my life. It really is. So obviously, Back to the Future musical, it's like over 35 years that the original film was written, and obviously, Glen, you've come on board and written 16 new songs, which is absolutely amazing. I'm so excited to listen to them. So how did you and Alan obviously work together? Glen, you're a legend with yourself. You've worked on some amazing things. How did you and Alan come together? So obviously to write the music and.
Well, I think the first thing we did was we took the theme and we made a song from it. It's the very first thing we did when we were trying to audition whether or not this could actually be a musical. So we took his big orchestral piece and turned it into basically what is now the opening number of the show. And we did that like 12 years ago.
Wow.
As a kind of way of authenticating what this could be. So it started exactly with the score, and that score has informed everything that we've written from then on. Even though you may not recognize it, it's in there. So it, as much as anything, that was the predicate, is Al's original music.
Wow. So obviously you're looking at two amazing iconic eras, the 50s and the 80s. The 50s is my favourite era because it's the dawn of rock and roll.
Yeah.
So obviously you're educating a new form of, you're bringing it to a new generation. Like, how did you go back to 50s music, or did you concentrate on the story when you were writing the music for the 50s era? How did you guys think when you were writing the new music?
I think the story and the music are kind of inextricable. When we're talking about the 50s, that's the way we were thinking. And I'm old enough to know a little bit about 50s music, and so for us it was incredibly interesting and fun to have the 50s as a stylistic sort of tone, and then the 80s completely different. And so it really freed us up to go 50s, to go 80s, and anything in between. So yeah, we were definitely thinking that.
And it's fun too, because when the original movie was made, you had the 50s and you had the 80s, but you were in the 80s. You were in 1985.
Yeah.
So that was current music when the film was done. Now we're in 2020, and we actually have a moment in the show where we've added the new time dimension, because we are watching this in the year 2020. So there are now three separate times that we have the possibility to have some fun with. So that's something that was just a given, by the very fact that the musical is being written in what is now today modern times.
So when you guys are sitting there and obviously thinking about ideas and the story about writing music, is it true about say what you know? Do you write about your personal experiences, or I mean, how do you come to write? Where do you even start?
I mean, no, we base it on the story.
Yeah,
My own
it's all on
personal
story.
experiences will inform
Yeah.
the general sense of how I do anything, but
Yeah.
everything that we brought to it grew right out of the story, and in every way it was driven by these incredibly vivid characters and this incredibly vivid idea of meeting your parents and finding out they weren't exactly who they thought they were, or who they said they were. That's the fundamental idea of the whole show, which is what's so brilliant about what Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale did, was this idea of meeting your parents and what that would be like. And
In the beginning of the thought process of the very idea of doing Back to the Future as a musical, there were lots of ideas about what point of view should the story be told from, and this and that. And at every step of the way, Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale would keep coming back to, wait a second, we have a great story. It's called Back to the Future. Just go to that well, go to that source for everything. And that's what Glenn and I did. We just always went to the story, always went to the characters in the story telling their story. And you didn't really have to look outside of that. You were given all of that great direction right out of Back to the Future.
Honestly, gentlemen, it's been a privilege interviewing you. It's been it's my bucket list is a bucket list thing for me. So thank you so much. No doubt in my mind, Back to the Future will be on tour for the next 20, 30 years.
We would love that.
that would be great.
It's just, I'm so glad that we can bring it to a new generation. And obviously the music, obviously Bob, the two Bobs and you guys, you're the key. We couldn't do it without you guys. And obviously, Alan, you worked on the original movie. Glenn, you're very, very experienced and you worked in similar genres. So I know that this is going to be an absolute hit and I can't wait to see it.
Fantastic. Well,
So Alan, Glenn, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks to Manchester for having us for our world premiere, because we couldn't be happier that we're doing it here in Manchester.
Make me cry. Stop it. Thank you.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.